This video is presented by Western and Southern Financial Group, a game plan for your financial future. Every great team starts with a strong foundation, and your future should too. With life insurance built like a championship roster, Western and Southern helps protect what matters most, so you can focus on winning today while planning for tomorrow. Whether you're just starting your journey, building your dynasty, or ready to retire like a champion, Western and Southern has the right play for your life stage. Visit westernsouthern.com to get your free life insurance quote today. Western and Southern, built to win. All right, next up, we got Miami, who made the playoff with a 10-2 record this year. First time under Mario Cristobal making the college football playoff this season. Their path to the national title game, they are at number 7 Texas A&M in the first round. If they win that game, then they will play Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl in the quarterfinal round. If they win that game, they'll play either Georgia, Ole Miss, or Tulane in the Fiesta Bowl in the college football playoff semifinals. Miami, 10-2 for the second straight year, and they're the only ACC team to make the college football playoff despite not even playing in the conference title game. Even though they lost to Louisville and SMU, they were able to sneak into the playoff for one simple reason. They beat Notre Dame in week 1. And because the Fighting Irish, who also finished the year 10-2, they were the first team left out of the playoff with a resume that was very comparable to Miami's as well. Because Miami beat Notre Dame in the final rankings, Notre Dame was ranked above Miami the entire time by the committee until the final one. They put Miami in over Notre Dame. And ironically, Dalton, Miami, their first playoff game in program history is against the other team that beat Notre Dame in week 2 in Texas A&M.
They certainly they might not watch this game in South Bend.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to bother. Their game's at noon on next Saturday, noon Eastern, and they'll probably find something else to do on a Saturday, although it's going to be freezing cold this weekend. I'm not sure what else they would do. But, no, Miami, I mean, look, they earned it. And if out-of-conference games and head-to-head still matter, then that win over Notre Dame matters as much as anything, especially when you're right next to them in the ranking. But, man, they've been really good all year. Obviously, their 2 losses, they lost to Louisville and SMU, but think about what those 2 losses were. A 3-point loss to Louisville in a very competitive game, and that SMU game at SMU went to overtime, and Carson Beck was really good outside of one last throw, and that just sometimes seems to be a theme with him. But overall, though, I mean, basically every other game they've played, they've been just the dominant team on the football field, right? A really good win at Pitt, dominating Florida State, definitely a game where the score is closer than the game would indicate. Win over a really good USF team, 49-12. They beat the Florida Gators as well in dominant fashion. So you look at this Miami team, they have all the potential in the world, right? And they do it their way. They're great in the trenches. Carson Beck has come in and played mostly really good football this season. They've got a balanced team. They can run it. They can throw it. And we already know this is another team with their defense. Don't mess around because they can beat anybody on any given day. Yeah, right now Miami has the 3rd highest graded defense in the country behind only Texas Tech and Indiana. And Dalton, the strength of this Miami team on the offensive side and the defensive side, they are loaded in the trenches. Trenches. Boy, oh boy, you've got the Great Wall of Mirabal on the offensive side, as they call it down there in Miami. Francis Mauanoa and that offensive line has been mauling people all season. On the defensive line, Ruben Bane Jr., Akeem Mesidor off the edge. Those 2 guys especially, both of them getting potential first-round hype in the NFL draft. They've been able to pressure teams as much as anyone in the country. Similar vibe to Texas Tech here, where that front 4 is so good, they don't even have to blitz, man. They can sit back and use all the coverage assets that they need to, because Bane and Mesidor off the edge especially, they've been just blowing up opposing offensive lines all year, making at times really good offensive lines look awful. You think back to the Notre Dame game. You think back to the Florida game when that's one of the better offensive lines in the country, and they had no answer. They're great against the run. They're great in the pass rush, and then offensively, power run game, athletic enough to get out into the screen game, into open space, and they've been protecting Carson Beck very well all season.
Absolutely, yeah. Miami has the 5th highest graded offensive line in the country, the 2nd highest graded defensive line in the country. No other school in America is tied is in the top 5 for offensive line and defensive line grade right now. So Miami is loaded in the trenches. My biggest question, and Carson Beck has been overall really good for Miami this year. Again, like so many other schools though, like Alabama, like Texas A&M, or Texas Tech too, can he play consistent football for 4 straight games? Because, again, 25th in the country in passing grade this year, but he has been a little inconsistent over the course of the season with below a 65 PFF grade in 5 of the Hurricanes' 12 games this year. That includes a 55.2 PFF grade against Louisville when he threw 4 interceptions in that game too, and really is the biggest reason why Miami lost that game to Louisville. So Miami is so good everywhere, and Carson Beck is a really good quarterback too. But can he play consistent football for 4 straight games? That, to me, is the biggest question mark for Miami right now.
Major splits for Carson Beck between when he's in a clean pocket and when he's under pressure, because he's kind of an old-school pocket quarterback who's not going to move. He's not going to improvise much. He doesn't throw it very well on the move for the most part. But the good news is he's been under pressure less often than any other qualified quarterback in the country. I'm going to throw a number at you, Max, all right? He's only been under pressure on 14.7% of his dropbacks this year, which is absolutely ridiculous. The next closest qualified guy, all right, that was 14.7%. The next closest qualified guy is Trinidad Chambliss for Ole Miss at 20.5.
Wow.
Almost 6% less often than the next closest guy that Beck has been pressured. Now, a big part of that is that great offensive line that they have. He also gets rid of the football very quickly. The more often that he is clean in the pocket, the more often Miami can succeed. That's been very often this year. 82.4 passing grade overall, top 25 mark in the country, 2.35 second average time to throw. He's essentially not any different than the Carson Beck that we've known for his entire career, especially the one that was so good 2 years ago at Georgia. He's going to be dependent on his offensive line, and if he's clean and he's making quick decisions, he's extremely accurate. He's very dangerous. If he's under pressure, you have a real problem because he's either going to force the ball into tight windows or he's going to be taking sacks because he doesn't have much of a way to improvise. So really it comes down to Beck seeing the field quickly and the offensive line. They got a fun task in this first game against Cassius Howell and this Texas A&M defense. This is going to be a fun matchup to watch. But again, in the trenches, Miami can compete with anybody, and Beck is, for the most part, taking advantage of that this season.
Yeah, that offensive line against Texas A&M's defensive line is going to be maybe the most must-see matchup, I think, of the entire first round of the playoff. That's going to be awesome television for us to watch next weekend. I want to shout out on the offensive side, though, not an offensive lineman, even though we could have gone with Francis Mauigoa or anyone else. Dalton, a guy that we are falling in love with right now. Malachi Tony, the best true freshman in college football this year. 90.3 PFF grade, is second among all wideouts in the country, only behind Mekhi Lemon from USC, who might win the Blitnikoff Award. He's also the second most valuable receiver in the country, according to our wins above average metric. He has not had a single drop on 84 catchable targets this year, and he leads the Power 4 with 623 yards after the catch. If that's not enough, he also has 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown, and he was named to our All-American team for his efforts this year. We actually have a video covering Malachi Tony coming out very, very soon on this channel, kind of a film breakdown from Dalton, breaking down just everything, or just honestly half of what he does for Miami's offense this year, because Dalton, this guy is one of the most versatile players in the country.
He can catch the ball. He can run the ball. He can throw the ball as a former high school quarterback. He can take punt returns, screens, deep balls, out cuts, in cuts, whatever you want. Malachi
you know who he reminds me of a little bit? Casey Concepcion for Texas A&M.
It's a good call. He got 2 very similar types of players, man. I mean, anywhere that you can line them up, these are just just dynamic athletes you can center your offense around. And Miami has done that more and more as the season has gone on. Think of it this way, Max. Over their last 2 games against Pitt and Virginia Tech, 31 targets. This is what Malachi Tony is now. He is the center of the universe. He's the guy that brings this gravitational pull to this offense. When you think about certain guys that do it in the NFL, the Puka Nakuas and the Amon-Ra St. Browns of the world who can just win from anywhere on the field, and what he allows them to do, RPOs, screens, deep ball. He's got enough speed to get downfield, right? Trick plays, whether he's running it or catching it or throwing it or whatever you want, and then he contributes on special teams as a punt returner also. You have to know where Malachi Tony is on every single snap. If you lose him at all, he's going to score. That's how this is going to work here, and he's so great after the catch. Second most missed tackles forced in the country by a wide receiver as well. I'm glad we get to watch this guy in college football for 2 more years because he is just a dynamic football player, one of the best in the country.
What was the stat that you had that he has 106 total targets this year and no drops, right?
106 targets and no drops is the most in PFF history, in PFF college history. And I'd have to check the NFL too because that might be true also. But 106 targets without a drop. We've been charting college since 2014, the most targets by any player without a drop. Now, of course, now that we said it, he'll go out there and drop his first target of the game against Texas A&M. But
Jeremiah Smith week 1, remember that? We're like, he doesn't drop anything. He had 2 drops in that game against Texas.
And then this year against that. Well, last year that was funny because he dropped his first target of his career and then didn't drop a ball the rest of the year. Yeah, of course. So I mean, you're talking about a kid. He's special. Malachi Tony is absolutely special. And when you look at this offense schematically, like you mentioned next week on this film breakdown we did, we're going to talk about it more. He has become the center of all of it, and everything else revolves around him and how defenses react to his presence.
Mr. Bucknut saying Tony is like Santana Moss. Kind of like that comp, too.
Good call.
Yeah.
Early in the year now, he's more diverse in his game now than this guy with everything he can do. But early in the year, the route running kind of reminded me a bit of Josh Downs for the Indianapolis.
Yep.
I saw a little bit of that, but, man, he's just – when you just talk about those movable pieces, like he's just such a great chess piece for this offense and the chemistry that he's gotten to grow with Carson Beck. Man, those guys know what each other is thinking at all times. He can beat you from anywhere on the field.
Yeah. I mean, listen, his nickname is Baby Jesus. That should tell you all you need to know about Malachi Tony. He is an incredible football player, and a great point also by Ryan Nelson in the chat, too. This guy should be a senior in high school right now, Dalton. He reclassified to join Miami a year early. He should still be a senior in high school right now, and he's doing this right now as one of the best receivers in the country. I said it before, he might enter the year next year, for me at least, as the number 2 receiver in America behind only Jeremiah Smith. That guy's this special right now. And
freak
once
show.
Jeremiah goes to the NFL, Malachi Tony most likely would be the number one receiver in college football going into his junior year too. Dalton, a guy who could be the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft, is our defensive player spotlight here.
Speaking of freak shows,
yeah.
Number 4 off the edge. You could either move him inside a little bit if you need to and run defense. Ruben Bane Jr. I mean, he's been doing it all year. Second highest PFF grade among qualified edge defenders in the country, only behind David Bailey at Texas Tech, but 58 pressures, 7 sacks, elite pass rush win rate, maybe my favorite part of it all, just as elite a run defender as he is a pass rusher, 5th in the nation in run defense grade as well. He's so big, he's so powerful, and Jason Taylor has really taught him the pass rush arsenal down here at Miami in his 3rd season. Dealt with some injuries last year, but he's been 100% healthy this year, and maybe from front to back, maybe the most dominant defensive player, at least on the defensive line that we've seen. We've just seen it all season, no matter who the offensive line is. Ruben Bane's going to dominate. He dominates with power. He dominates with hand usage and the run. Anything you can think of, this guy can do, and there's a reason he might be a top 10 pick in this upcoming draft.
Oh, even more. It could be a top 5 pick or even number 1 overall, depending on who gets the pick, honestly, too. He has been so good this year. And, yeah, he's not quite the Heisman Trophy winner that we proclaimed him to be at midseason, but he has still been one of the best defensive players in college football this year. And top 10 grades in the country as a run defender and pass rusher, only power 4 edge who's done that this year, too.
And maybe my favorite stat here. Okay, so take power 4 edge defenders, okay? Here's the 4 highest graded power 4 edge defenders. David Bailey, Texas Tech. Ruben Bane, Miami. Romello Height, Texas Tech. Akeem Mesidor, Miami. The 4 highest graded edge defenders in the power 4 are on those 2 teams, Miami and Texas Tech. That is just ridiculous.
That's a lot.
But it shows you the problem you have when you're playing against them. And Texas A&M's got a great offensive line too, and there's some good offensive lines here. This is a task because in the same way as Texas Tech, again, they don't have to blitz.
Yep.
They can just send these 2 guys off the edge and go, yeah, good luck. Good luck blocking them one-on-one. Have fun with that.
Definitely. All right, Dalton, what is the bottom line for Miami? How deep of a run can they make in the college football playoff? What are you expecting out of Miami in the playoff?
This team is interesting. This is interesting because I think of any of the teams playing road games, maybe even of any team from 6 through 12 here, I would argue that this team has the right makeup of a team that could mess around and make a little bit of a run. Now, they've got a tough first game down there, the 12th man down there in College Station. But when you have a pass rush like this, you got a veteran quarterback in Carson Beck, you got an offensive line and what they have, the ability of this team to win in the trenches on both sides of the ball That really is something that makes them extremely dangerous. I don't care who in this field they're playing, because in the same way that we like Texas Tech and we like Indiana's trench play and some other team, Miami's as good in the trenches as any team in the country going all the way to the top. When you can dominate the trenches on both sides of the ball, you can beat anybody. The variable is Carson Beck.
Yep.
It's just in big moments. If he plays clean football, and obviously he's going to be pretty well protected, and he does a good job of protecting himself, and he plays, it's more than a complimentary role, because when he does get hot, he looks really good and in rhythm, and the accuracy's great and everything. We've seen this going back to the Georgia days. But if you get clean football out of Carson Beck, and this team can dominate in the offensive line and defensive line, they're the sleeper, I think, in any given week, no matter. Even if we were talking about a second-round game against Ohio State, we mentioned it earlier today. Ohio State's offensive line, maybe not the best against elite front sevens, right? Ohio State's defensive line, very good, but you got the O-line to match it in Miami. This team's dangerous. And for as long as Carson Beck plays clean football, I think they could, in a one-game scenario, I don't know if I'd pick them to go all the way here, but in a one-game scenario, they can beat anybody in this field.
I completely agree with that. I think Miami's a very, very dangerous team in the college football playoff right now. I get they lost to Louisville and they lost to SMU, but man, this team is so talented front to back on defense, and then the offense is loaded on the offensive line. Got a great receiver in Malachi Tony and some other good weapons around there too. Carson Beck has played pretty good football all year. If he can play consistent football and play clean football for 4 straight games, Miami can beat Texas A&M, and they can give Ohio State a run for their money too. And if they beat Ohio State, they could beat anyone, honestly, too. So Miami, they're dangerous. All I'm saying, they're a very dangerous team in the playoff right now. If Beck can't play clean football against a great defense in A&M, they could lose in the first round. But I could see this Miami team not only beating Texas A&M, but giving Ohio State a real run for their money in that quarterfinal round. Don't know if they'll beat Ohio State, but they are capable of beating Ohio State. I will say that. And I think it's a very dangerous team. I know they're the 10th seed right now, but Miami's a very, very dangerous team going into the college football playoff.
Everyone's got takes. Numbers have truth. And the truth is, most people are betting with emotion. Sportsbooks feed on it. TikTok rules sell it. The hype machine runs on it. That's how you lose. PFF is different. You're betting with winning data. The same data trusted by all 32 NFL teams and the sharpest minds in the game. PFF betting tools take every prop, every matchup, every angle, and run them through our custom models. Built on the best football data in the world. What comes back is your edge. Simple, sharp, and built to win. Want to go deeper? PFF puts a pro-level analytics department in your hands, giving you the same insights teams use to find every advantage. Build your game plan with matchup analysis. Project every snap, every matchup, and every edge before kickoff. Because the smartest plays start long before Sunday. Hit rates show how a player performs against their prop and against defenses built the same way. It's the data that gives you real confidence in every pick. Next, Key Insights translates PFF data into the story behind every matchup, giving you the why that powers your bets. From coverage schemes to defensive looks, it's the context that turns raw numbers into winning decisions. When you're ready to take action, filter through every prop on the market and focus on the opportunities that matter, by game, matchup, or value. Then, shop for the best available line in your area and tap your book of choice to place the bet instantly. Everyone's got takes, but now you've got truth. Bet with data, win with PFF.